Ryan wasn't the kind of man people noticed right away. He didn't dominate a room, didn't talk just to fill silence. But when he did speak, people listened. I met him when I was 24 and still figuring out what I wanted in life. He already knew exactly who he was. Back then, I found that intoxicating. We dated for 3 years before getting married. He was 34 now, I was 32, and we'd been married for 5 of those years. In the beginning, Ryan made me feel like I was the only person in the world. He'd leave notes in my lunch bag, surprise me with flowers, just because, and actually listen when I talked about my day. But over the past year, things changed. His business, a logistics company he'd built from scratch, started booming. That meant more clients, more contracts, more late nights. Some weeks, I'd see him for maybe an hour a day, and even then, he was glued to his phone. It felt like I was married to his business, and I was just an accessory. I tried to be understanding. I really did. But after months of feeling invisible, that understanding turned into resentment. When you go long enough without someone looking at you like you matter, you start craving that look anywhere you can get it. That's when Jenna stepped in. She's been my best friend since college, the loud, fun one who can make anyone feel like a VIP. One Thursday afternoon, she called me, her voice practically buzzing through the phone. "There's a charity gala this weekend. Everyone who's anyone will be there. You need a night out, Em. Dress up, have some drinks, remember you're still alive." I hesitated. Ryan was supposed to be in Chicago for a business meeting that whole weekend. Normally, I'd just stay in, maybe binge-watch something and go to bed early. But Jenna was relentless. And deep down, I knew I wanted to feel that spark again, the kind you get when you know people are looking at you. When I told Ryan about the gala, he barely looked up from his laptop. "Have fun," he said, and that was it. No questions. No curiosity. Something about that stung. Usually, when Ryan traveled, he'd at least check in once or twice a day, a quick text or a call before bed. But by Friday night, as I was deciding between 2 dresses, my phone was still silent. "No, I landed," "No, how's your day?" Just, nothing. I brushed it off at the time. He was probably busy. But looking back now, I should have paid more attention. Because Ryan wasn't in Chicago. And he wasn't too busy to notice what I was about to do. The gala was everything Jenna promised and more. The venue looked like something out of a movie, towering glass windows, crystal chandeliers scattering light across marble floors, waiters gliding by with trays of champagne. A string quartet played near the entrance, but deeper inside the hall, a DJ kept the energy pulsing. For the first time in months, I felt seen. People smiled as I walked by, complimenting my dress, asking how I'd been. It was intoxicating, like I'd stepped into another version of myself, the fun, magnetic Emily I used to be before life became schedules and bank statements. And then I saw him. Adrian. My Adrian. We dated briefly in our early 20s, a whirlwind summer that ended when we both admitted we weren't ready for anything serious. He'd filled out since then, broader shoulders, sharper jawline, but his smile was exactly the same. Easy. Warm. Like no time had passed at all. "Emily." His voice carried just enough surprise to feel flattering. We hugged, and before I knew it, we were at the bar, swapping stories over drinks. 1 drink became 2, then 3. His hand brushed mine once, then again. I didn't pull away. When a slower song started, he offered his hand. I hesitated for a heartbeat, then took it. On the dance floor, we were too close, his hand resting just above my hip, fingers pressing into the fabric of my dress. The air felt heavier, hotter. My laugh came easier than it should have. "Let's get some air," he murmured, and I followed him to a balcony draped in fairy lights. The city sprawled out beneath us, glittering. We stood shoulder to shoulder, talking about nothing and everything, his voice low, his eyes locked on mine. And that's when it happened. I was mid-laugh when someone, caught my eye through the glass doors. A man in a dark suit, standing near the back of the crowd, looking straight at me. My breath caught. The shape of his shoulders, the tilt of his head, it looked like Ryan. Exactly like Ryan. But it couldn't be. He was in Chicago. I blinked, and the spot where he'd been was empty. Maybe it was a trick of the light. Maybe I was imagining it because of the drinks. I didn't ask questions. I didn't leave. Instead, I stayed with Adrian, leaning against him as we laughed into the night. By the time Jenna and I left, it was well past midnight. She dropped me off, and I walked into a dark, empty house. No sign of Ryan. No note. Nothing but the quiet hum of the refrigerator. I told myself he was still away. But deep down, I think I already knew he wasn't. The first night after the gala, I told myself Ryan was just busy. Maybe he decided to extend his business trip. By the second night, I started texting him. Nothing heavy, just, "Hey, how's Chicago?" No reply. By the third day, my messages had shifted from casual to concerned. "Please call me. Ryan, I'm worried. Can we talk?" No answer. No read receipts. It was like I'd been erased from his world. Jenna tried to calm me down over coffee. "He's probably just processing, Em. You know Ryan. He's not the type to blow up right away. He'll come around." I wanted to believe her, but the silence was starting to feel deliberate. The first crack came on Friday. I was at the grocery store, cart half full, when my credit card declined. I tried another. Same thing. My cheeks burned as the cashier looked at me with that tight, polite smile people use when they're trying not to judge. I ended up walking out empty-handed. Back home, I logged into our joint bank account. Access denied. My personal account. Also locked. My stomach twisted into a hard knot. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was Ryan's assistant, her tone overly formal. "Hi, Emily. I just wanted to inform you that you've been removed from the company's payroll and health insurance, effective immediately." For a second, I couldn't even process the words. I wasn't an employee, but Ryan had always kept me on the payroll for benefits and security. It was just what we did. Now, that safety net was gone. I hung up without saying much, my mind racing. This wasn't a fight. This wasn't him cooling off. This was a dismantling, piece by piece, step by step, of my entire life. No confrontation. No shouting. Just removal. Like I was a mistake he was quietly erasing from his story. And for the first time since the gala, I felt something stronger than confusion or guilt. Fear. Because Ryan wasn't acting like a hurt husband. He was acting like a man with a plan. A week after the gala, a thick envelope slid under my apartment door. No knock, no delivery person waiting, just there when I opened the door. I didn't even have to look inside to know it was bad. The first page was an official eviction notice. I read it twice before the meaning truly hit me: 30 days to vacate. No appeal. No bargaining. I thought there had to be a mistake, this was our house. But as I dug through the paperwork, my heart sank. The deed was in Ryan's name alone. He'd bought the place 2 years before we even met. Every renovation, every decision, it had all been his, legally. And now, it wasn't mine to fight for. Before I could even process that blow, a courier arrived later that afternoon with another package. Divorce papers. Tucked neatly inside was a smaller envelope, and I knew, before I even opened it, that this was the real weapon. Photographs. There I was in high definition, laughing with Adrian at the bar. Dancing with his hand pressed low against my back. My fingers brushing along his jawline on the balcony. Angles I didn't remember anyone being close enough to capture. Ryan hadn't just stumbled into that party. He hadn't just happened to see me. He'd known exactly where I'd be and who I'd be with. I felt the blood drain from my face. The private investigator's name was printed in small letters on the corner of the photo set. Weeks' worth of timestamps showed I'd been under surveillance long before that night. Dinner with coworkers. Drinks with Jenna. Even the time I'd stopped at a cafe with an old college friend, all documented, like I was a suspect in a crime. And then came the twist I hadn't been prepared for. Buried in the legal documents was a statement from Ryan's attorney. My client has been made aware of multiple third-party accounts regarding Mrs. Lawson's inappropriate conduct in public with other men over the past 6 months. Ryan had heard the rumors. He believed them enough to start building a case, not just to catch me in one moment of weakness, but to make sure I walked away with nothing. It was never about a fight. It was never about talking it through. He'd been planning my removal for months. And in one night, with one envelope, he made sure I understood exactly how powerless I was. Now, I wake up to the sound of traffic instead of birdsong. My apartment is barely bigger than the master bathroom in our old house. The walls are thin, the heat works when it wants to, and the rent takes more than half my paycheck from the diner where I wait tables. It's humbling, to say the least. Some days, humiliating. I used to measure my life in vacations, dinner reservations, and new shoes. Now, I measure it in overdue bills and how many shifts I can pick up before my feet give out. And every time I pass the fancy neighborhood where our old house sits, I wonder if Ryan ever thinks of me at all, or if I'm just another closed chapter in his very organized life. When I look back, I realize my mistake wasn't just what happened at that party. It started long before. I'd convinced myself Ryan was the quiet, passive type, the kind of man who would sulk, maybe shout, but ultimately forgive. I overestimated his tolerance. I underestimated his intelligence. Ryan wasn't passive. He was patient. And patience, I've learned, can be far more dangerous than anger. I used to believe love could survive almost anything, distance, jealousy, even betrayal, if you wanted it badly enough. But I was wrong. It's not love alone that keeps two people together. It's respect. And the moment Ryan saw me on that balcony with Adrian, any respect he had for me evaporated. He didn't yell. He didn't demand explanations. He didn't give me a chance to spin a story that made me look better. He just ended it. Swiftly. Cleanly. And in a way that made sure I had nothing left to stand on when he was done. Some nights, I still dream about that moment, the split second I thought I saw him through the glass. If I'd gone to him then, if I'd walked away from Adrian, maybe things would be different. Or maybe Ryan had already decided my fate, and I just gave him the final piece of evidence he needed. Either way, the result is the same, I'm here. Alone. Starting over from scratch. And Ryan. He's still out there somewhere, probably building a bigger empire, smiling in photos, and never thinking twice about me. So tell me. If someone wronged you like that, would you forgive, or would you make sure they lost everything too?